welcome back to the Visible and Paid Summit and this special series inside the Grace Growth and Business podcast. We are unpacking the mindset, strategy, and hard work behind building a business that doesn't just look good, but feels right. I think especially for us in this like service space, I think that's a unique experience in itself. My name is Amanda Fludd, therapist, business coach, and strategic disruptor for Black women ready to stop hiding and start cashing in on their brilliance. And we have a really good conversation for you today. If you have ever heard someone say you need to network more and kind of felt your eye twitch with that come up, or you tried to collaborate and it just kind of fell flat, you're in the right session. I am joined today by the lovely Eva Forde, founder of the Social Work Well Conference and the Leadership Exchange, the peer advisory experience for high-performing, heart-centered leaders. She's all about expansion and wealth and connection. And we need you to pull up to the table for this conversation on how to collaborate for wealth through intentional and generous connection. So what's up, Eva? How are you?
What's up, Amanda? I'm really, really, really well. And thank you for inviting me to this conversation. It's, I'm so excited. So let's get into it.
Yes, let's rock. So we will go right to this idea of connection because you said something recently that kind of stuck out to me. It was in one of your recent LinkedIn posts, and connection is currency. So what does that actually mean to you? Why is it essential for us in our booked, visible, and paid era?
Yeah, I think it's a profound thought, but I wouldn't want anyone to, make it a god, as it were, and feel like, especially if you're not, or if you're someone who has anxiety around connection, it's just kind of, I'm stating a given. I'm not stating necessarily something that has to be a strategy, but it can be a strategy. But essentially, if you look at anything you want to achieve in life, in your business, in your relationships, whatever, it's going to take someone else to
Mm-hmm.
get there. None of us even come into this world. Even if we come into this world, there's someone else there. Your mother is there, right? Your birth mother is there. There's probably a doctor there, or a midwife, or a nurse, or someone is there. None of us can even survive without another person. So at a very fundamental level, we are interdependent. That is how this thing works. That's how um, we're set up. That's how it's set up, right?
Yeah, that's how things flow through connection.
That's how things flow.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think, especially in the Western world, we talk about being independent.
Mm.
And in a certain context, yeah, I get it. And we get it. There's things that no one can do for us. But ultimately, we are interdependent. And that translates to our bank accounts and our money and our business. And so the concept about connection being currency is just kind of that realization that if you're going to have more money in your bank account, someone is going to have to pay you. And it's not a new thought that those relationships build businesses, or those relationships are how you get your job. Or I'm sure most of us can think back to probably our first job, or if you're moving jobs, people always go back to, well, who's in your network, or who can refer you, or who do you know. And yes, it is about who you know, but it's more about who knows you. And people can only get to know you through connection and building those relationships. So that's really part of what I mean. The other thing is, when you look at your I'll say network here without really defining network, but I'll use it in the general sense of the people in your circle of influence, the people who you are connected to, whether online or a friend of a friend, or however you're connected, right? I think it was Jim Rohn says that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. And that can be evidenced in our bank accounts as well. So if connection is currency, and for example, 5 people that you spend the most time around, that you're connected to, their bank accounts, proverbially, not that you necessarily know the amount in their bank accounts, but let's say they never have enough financially, they're always in debt, always borrowing, right? Then you've got to think about, are those the connections that can support you to the currency that you want, right?
Mm.
That's what you've got to think about.
I
And
love that.
we could
Yeah.
take this conversation, that just one little snippet, and look at it different ways too. So we could say, like, then we might say, if you expand your network and you have connections that have more currency, what's the value that you're giving them? All kinds of ways we could discuss that, but
Mhm.
just suffice it to say, that's kind of what I'm talking about when I mention that connection as currency.
Currency. Yeah. Yeah. And I like that too, because it's thinking about it, not always just like monetarily, because financially, yes, but I even hear like emotionally and like the mindset of the people around you, what do they reflect, right? Because it's so important to get around other levels of people, because I think that's another way to build wealth, right? Whether it's that emotional
100%.
wealth, financial as well, because they're going to open your ideas to things and encourage you to things that you may not do by yourself.
100%. I just got, so right before this call, Amanda, I just got off of a call with about 70 other people. We are all part of a community called Purple Space that is an initiative of Seth Godin.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I'm always so inspired about is, for people who don't necessarily know who Seth Godin is, he's a um, multi-time best-selling author. He's got one of the most widely read blogs in the world. He used to be a VP of Yahoo. The list goes on and on in terms of accolades.
Yeah.
That's not what's important. What's important is he speaks like a social worker. He's not. He's a marketer. He's an author. He's a business professional and a leader. But he really talks from a humanist perspective. People should be respected. When we should make money from our gifts, not trying to bully uh, or trip people up
Mm.
or
Mm.
manipulate people, but we should be
Right.
genuine, we should be generous, and we should lead with empathy. That is what he preaches, that is what he lives. And so he attracts people like that. And what's always so inspiring to me, and what I came away from the call with again just a little while ago, is that um, the connections that I've made in that group
Mhm.
are just so rich. And
Mhm.
we've got multimillionaires in that group, and we've got people in the group that are trying to figure out how to
Uh,
leverage their skills to make their first $100.
right.
But the common denominator is that everyone leans in, leads with heart, and everyone's, building their network, or they have these really rich networks of people who are generous and giving and striving and doing the work. And so that is what I always encourage and lean into too. So
Mm.
it's not about just picking and choosing who you think has money, but it
Mhm.
is about putting yourself in those environments and connecting with people who are generous and have an abundance mindset, then, as it were, as opposed to that scarcity.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a brilliant space. And I think a space that we have to kind of learn. I feel like we have pieces of this, like the empathy part, especially as like heart service people, like we have no problems with giving. It's like learning to balance that in other aspects, but some of it sometimes is changing our mindset about things, right? So we can give freely and know that that's okay, and receive freely. And sometimes I think those messages get mixed up in this marketing space, and that probably is where a lot of us go bonkers, I'll say, because we're trying to fit in a like big bro marketing kind of way that isn't in alignment with us. Like generosity is in alignment with us, and empathy is in alignment with us, and um, abundance should be also in alignment with us too.
Mm. What's interesting to me, I've learned a lot about empathy from him in the community, and I've taught at a bachelor's and a master's level social
Mhm.
work, but
Mhm.
I've learned that when in a marketing space, empathy sounds like, do I understand what you, Amanda, care about? And
Mhm.
can I articulate it so clear? Can I understand you? Can I really see you so clearly that I can tell you who you are and tell you what you care about so clearly that you are convinced that I know who you are. And then it's not necessarily about just because I understand you, I'm giving things away. Can I
Mm.
call you in and invite you into this thing that I think will really help you? And because I know it's valuable, and because I know it's valuable to you, yes, there is a monetary charge to it, but it's because I know it matters. And I know that if I didn't put a charge on it, you might not value it as much
That's
as you
much.
could. And
Mm.
so I want to support you. I want to honor the work. And of course, because we are interdependent, there will be a
An
cyclical
exchange.
exchange,
Mhm.
monetary exchange.
Yeah. I really hope folks caught that because I think we're hearing what our superpower is then. for again, those of us that lead from this like hard place, that there it is possible for us, especially I think if you are a social worker, because like we learn to be attuned to people and things like, and it really doesn't matter who you are, because there's some really attuned professionals out there, but that can be your superpower because it does teach you how to relate differently to people. And I think sometimes it comes across as like we're not enough because we're missing all these pieces, but it sounds like such an important piece to the equation.
Mm. It's been transformative for me personally,
Mhm.
to think about, because when I came into the online coaching space and the world of online business,
Mm.
the gurus will tell you all the things that you as a business person need, and they'll say these are the things you don't have, that's why you're not getting sales, or that's why nothing's converting, right?
Right.
And so we get caught up. I'll speak for myself. I have been guilty of being caught up with, oh, I don't have this website right, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, and so I make it about me. And I wonder if the colors are right, or I wonder if I put
Mm.
this
Yes.
period in the right place or not,
Uh-huh.
forgetting the people that I'm trying to serve in the name of the people that I'm trying to serve, but really forgetting that. And so
Right.
again, on this same topic of connection being currency, we can go a level deeper, right? And make it about that connection with the person, the audience that we're really wanting to connect with.
Mm.
And like I said, seeing them truly for who they are. A lot of times that comes with having conversations one-on-one with enough people in your audience to really get clear and understand. A lot of times it's an earlier version of yourself, and not to just make this conversation just for business owners or people who have online businesses per se, but just even in, I
General
think,
relatability.
yes, yes. But I think even in just building our lives,
Mm.
we love people who can lean in and see us. Nobody really wants to be around somebody that's always boasting and talking about themselves, even
Right.
if they're talking about the thing that they think can help you. Nobody wants that. But
Mm.
people really lean in when another person can hear them and ask them questions and be curious. And that's where that empathy part comes in.
Mhm. Now, you've built rooms, platforms, magazines, movements, but the idea of connection definitely seems to run through all of that. Now, how did that become your thing? Like, was there a moment, you used this word gift earlier? Was there a moment where you realized like this was your gift that you were meant to facilitate?
So I laugh a little because I am not the fastest runner in the group. I'll say that. And that's putting it lightly. I just, for anyone out there, I was in college 2 years undecided, didn't know what I wanted to do. In fact, I took 2 years off in the middle of college too, to just go find myself and figure out. All my other friends were, pre-med and communications and all these things. When I finally found social work, I thought, okay, I found my thing. Um, but then it got a bit old. And I say old because I was living in another country. I was kind of doing the same thing over and over, not understanding that I was expanding and I needed to expand. And so that's when I got into the online business phase. But then again, trying to fit for anybody who's ever started a business, if you've started because you wanted to start a business, but you didn't necessarily have a niche, then it's like, well, what's my niche? What's my thing?
Well, I
So,
do.
and that was,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was for years. I was like, I don't know what my niche is. I don't know. So no, the answer is no. I didn't just, this was a journey. It's been a journey. But, and also I probably have a little bit of an unfair advantage for anyone in your audience that is familiar with Myers-Briggs type indicator personality test. I am an ENFP. We are connectors. That's who we are. That's what we do. We like people. We never meet a stranger. And so a little bit of that, but I did not realize for years that that was a thing or something that I could, monetize or streamline. I had no idea. I just went around, like you said, kind of creating movements and, hey, we should do this, and bringing people together. So I guess that's the short answer to your question. That was not short at all. Trial and error. But back to the group that I mentioned earlier, it's being in spaces like that, talking to other people who I call them Eva fans, people who see me and who want to support me and help me rise. And I do the same thing for them, really asking them like, hey, what's my thing? Who would you recommend me to? If you were to see me winning something, what would that be? And really just weeks and months and years, because we change and evolve, of just kind of asking that thing and leaning in. And so after hearing over and over, oh, you're a connector, you got me to this, and because of that, I got that. After hearing that over and over, it's like, oh, I guess I do that. And it's interesting because I always say to my coaching clients, the thing you do, it's probably so innate in you that you don't even realize that you're doing it, but people
Mhm.
will pay you money to do that thing you do because it's just so, you're so good at it.
Mhm.
Not being able to see for myself that thing that I did. But,
I'm doing the same thing too. Yeah.
doing the same thing too, right? And I knew that was going to be true for me too, but again, it's hard to see the forest for
Yeah,
the trees
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. It's like those blind spots. I think that's why it's so important to be around like circles and community of people, especially when they get to know you, right? That they can help you see that thing that you're probably looking very hard for, and it's right in front of
And
you.
it's right in front of you. Exactly.
Probably don't even seem that valuable, but it's right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you said you're connecting and we like people. Now there's some people that don't like people, right? That have a hard time peopling. So
Yeah.
for the people that don't really enjoy that and it really brings up some fears, and I think maybe for peoplers, I don't know if eventually like you even get tired of that too. But how do
Mhm.
we help those folks out, right? Especially the introverts, the perfectionists, where connection does feel
Mhm.
hard. How would you help them navigate this space of connection?
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's a few things to consider if it feels hard for you, because I think for some people it feels hard because there was maybe a time in their lives where it was that connection, fear of connection maybe was imprinted on them.
Right.
They're not naturally fearful or avoidant of connecting with people or you know making friends or just meeting people. That's not a natural thing for them, but that's something that they have adopted. So if that's you, I would encourage you to do some digging around that. We're big advocates of therapy here.
Oh,
And just finding out what's the fear. Now, that's not everybody's thing. Some people are introverted and just like, child, if I don't know you already, I don't need to meet you.
right.
And to that, I would say I get it, because although I'm an extrovert, evidently I'm the most introverted of the extroverts. So sometimes it's like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good." And so what I would say to that is your biggest asset in that case is being true or honest with yourself. Honest with yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean be a recluse, but you can be selective about who you connect with, because I know you not just not connecting with anybody, or I know that there's no one that you see or you follow or you know are exposed to that you're not drawn to. I know that that's not the case, because that's not how we are set up.
Mhm,
It's not how we're
mhm,
made.
mhm.
So I would say that's fine. Reach out to who calls to you. And when I say reach out to, I mean, if you, let's say you are a big fan of you, Amanda Fludd,
Mhm,
but I'm in your community, but I'm a lurker.
mhm,
And I say, well, I'm just introverted. No, you could reach out and you could say, Amanda, I love your content. As a matter
mhm.
of fact, I used something that you said in a conversation that I had, and this was a transformation.
Right.
You like Amanda. And now what you're doing is you're being generous, you're leaning in.
Mm.
I'm not asking you to do anything you
Way
would say that again.
it's nothing way out there. It's
Nothing way
within
out
the
there.
reach. Yeah.
There's nothing way out there. I'm not telling you to go, put on a chicken suit and perform for people. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you that you already connect with Amanda. So just take that next step and tell her, I
Mm.
connect with what you were saying.
Mhm.
I think that's the little piece that a lot of people miss, that they could take a micro step.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
You
was
don't
thinking in my
know.
head, it's like it's a
Yeah,
little shift.
it's a little shift. Yeah, it's a little shift. And it's a thing that would, imagine, Amanda, if the people that listen to you or were subscribed to you or that were impacted by you in your circle that you never heard of. Imagine if they all took that micro step and reached out.
Mm.
Imagine how not only that would make you feel, but you might say, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know this person has been in my community.
Mm.
They should talk to this person," or a job just came across my desk. They would be perfect for that. Like, you just don't know.
No, no. Yeah.
And back to the connection being currency. we don't know.
Mm.
Again, the way this system is set up, we can't actually see the future, but because you never know, go ahead and reach out. Go ahead and send that text. Go ahead and um, give the compliment. Go ahead and offer the information to
Mm.
maybe help, right? Or support.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that.
I really love that so much. It's almost like thinking about if this person was actually in front of you, what would you say to them, right? So it's like whatever's resonating with you, just go ahead and say that.
Mhm. I had an experience. I've had several experiences, but one that sticks out to me quite a bit. So I told you that I took a year off during college. I ended up going overseas. I was a missionary in Taiwan for a year. I wasn't really a missionary. That was the program I went under. I just went to, again, try to figure out who am I? What do I want to be when I grow up? And in that time, I found out that evidently I'm good with languages. So I was speaking Chinese within 12 weeks of being there and
Wow.
doing some light translation, not fluent, but I could wrap
Enough.
my
Good enough.
good
Yeah.
enough. No, really good enough. And doing some light translation for people that had been there before I got there. Anyway,
Wow.
fast forward, I finished that program. I get back to my university and end up being a student worker in the office of the president for my university. Uh, one day we had assembly, and the president was up on the roster, and he was introducing a gentleman who was obviously of Asian descent. And he said, let's say his name was Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim is here. Um, Ultimately, they were courting him for a donation to the university. And so, hey, Mr. Kim is here. We're happy to have him here. And so afterwards, again, because I worked in the office of the president, afterwards, I went up to the president because, again, I'm a connector and I love people. I didn't know I was a connector at that time. I was 21,
Mhm.
and everyone's kind of left the assembly hall, and the president is there with his wife and this gentleman, and they're kind of talking, and I'm waiting. So at the end, I said to the president, I said, "Hey, do you think he speaks Mandarin Chinese?" And so he said, "I don't know. Why don't you ask him?" And so I said to him in Mandarin, "Do you speak Chinese?" And so he said to me, "Yeah, I do. How do you speak Chinese?" And so again, I said to him in Chinese, "Well, I was just a missionary and I just come back and I
Mm.
taught English." So he's like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. You should, we should connect, and here's my information. You should come visit me in Maryland." And so I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, I'll do it." Again, I wasn't sure if that was going to happen. Anyway, about a week later, the president gives me $100
Mhm.
and says to me, "Eva, because of you, we
Mhm.
got that money." Because when this gentleman, Mr. Kim,
Mm.
gave his speech to the board, he
Mm.
said, "I was so impressed that you send students overseas and you expose them to other cultures." This young woman came up to me and she was speaking perfect Chinese. He said, "I was so impressed that a university like this would do that. Here's all the money you've asked for."
Wow.
Now, if that's not connection being currency,
Wow.
I don't know what is. You
Wow.
just never know. Do you understand what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you just don't know.
Yeah. And like you're already on track with this and you're kind of breaking it down already, right? But I guess if you could continue and give us a few more like core points there in terms of what it takes to build this network or build this currency so that we can like multiply the things that we're doing, our mission, and build towards wealth.
Well, my approach, if I or framework or strategy, if I have
Yeah.
a strategy, is to lean into what excites me. And that's why I went back, if you're an introvert again and people aren't your thing, that's okay. Just lean into what you care about. So
Hmm.
here's my other story. Um, I mentioned Seth Godin before. Now, Seth Godin has YouTube videos online that go viral. He doesn't have a channel himself, but he doesn't have to because everyone else
Somebody else is sharing
who
it.
who gets no, everyone else who gets to talk to him promotes his things because he's so prolific.
Mhm.
And I've listened to so many, he's quoted in movies. I've listened to so many podcasts that say this man needs no introduction because if you are in his world, he needs no introduction. I had moved from Jamaica, so I was living in Jamaica before the pandemic, and I moved back to New York. And it was just about the time things had started to open up. So I had signed up for this in-person exercise group on a Sunday, and I was so excited to go. But I got lost. I was riding a city bike in New York and I got lost. And I was a little frustrated and I was like, man, it's such a nice day, but I'm going to miss it. And I was like, forget it. It's too late now. Even if I found it, I'm not going to be able to exercise. And so I said, you know what? Let me practice this gratitude that, trying to manifest, so let me just practice gratitude. So I said, you know what? I'm riding my little city bike. I said, I'm grateful for the day. I'm grateful for my little legs taking me. I'm grateful for this breath in my lungs. And the more I'm acknowledging the things I'm grateful for, the more I'm actually feeling like really excited. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And I look to my right and I see Seth Godin. Now, again, I'm on this entrepreneurial journey and he is a big influencer in that space, right? And so I see him and I'm like, oh my gosh, couldn't remember his name. And I said, I love you. And it was a small street in New York. And he turned around, he said, I love you too. Now, again, I'm freaking out. And so I'm like, oh, I love you more. And he turns back, he says, no, I love you more. And he sounded so sincere. And my mind is almost blown here. And I said, no, I love you more. So by this time, he and his wife was with him. They look at me and they're like, okay, this girl is clearly crazy. And so they're like, get out of the street. And I was like, me? And they're like, yeah, come over. And they're beckoning me to them. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I get over there, I grab onto his wife, like I'm holding on for dear life. And I said, I'm so, I said, I'm so starstruck. I don't even remember your name. And his wife said, it's Seth Godin. I said, I know it's Seth Godin. I can't think. And so I'm getting up again, fangirling, just making a total fool of myself. And so he's like, so what's your name? And I was like, oh my gosh, my name is Eva and I'm a social worker. And I just had you in one of my YouTube videos. And I tell all the social workers that, you sound like a social worker and, you lead with empathy. And I was just reading you and I'm just going on and on, right? And so he says, well, Eva, thanks for leading. It's amazing what you do. Will you send me your address when you get home? I want to send you something. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. But before I could get home, he had already found me, my information, my name, sent me an email and said, Eva, it was so lovely to meet you today. I hope you had a nice day. Please send me your address. I want to send you something. I'm like, who does that? Who finds their subscribers? And he's got millions anyway. He ends up sending me 3 of his books signed and says, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Again, mind blown. I'm like, what can this man do for me? I'm a little peon to his big celebrity, right? And then I heard a podcast that said, if there's someone you admire, lean in and ask them how you can help them. And so I did. I leaned in and I said, hey, remember me? I'm the girl that fangirled all over you. And, you sent me those books. This is like a month later. And he said, of course I remember you. I said, is there anything that you're working on that I can be a part of? And I just want to support you. And he said, as a matter of fact, there is. And he made me a leader in a community that was writing a book called The Carbon Almanac. I didn't have to go up the ranks or anything. And he said, don't forget, if there's anything that you need, let me know. So I can't ask him for anything. I'm just there contributing, leading, taking initiative within the group, bringing people together in the group. And someone in the group mentioned he had this well-renowned business course. I'm sorry this story is going so long, but there's a point to it. so he had this business course that was $5,000. I didn't have $5,000, but I wanted to take it. And I said, okay, I figured out, this is after about a month or 2 of contributing. I said, I figured out what I'd love. I'd love to take this course. I don't actually have $5,000. Is there a scholarship or something? I got a scholarship. Only had to pay $500. That was one thing. The next thing that happened, Amanda, because you spoke at my conference, that I have a conference. And Seth said to me, he said to me once, he's like, if there's someone that wants me to speak, my rate is $100,000. Now, that makes sense for him. When I had my conference, he said, I'll do it for you for free. When I say connection is currency, that's what I mean.
Come on now. Come on. Yeah.
I mean, again, but also I'm sharing these stories where I'm leaning into the things that I'm interested in, I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Yes, people in general, but also it doesn't have to be some big mystery or some big mathematical equation about, okay, if I meet 100 people, then 10% of those people are going to turn. Some people operate like that, yes. And perhaps value in that. Absolutely.
Mm,
I don't operate like that. I
mm.
truly operate from excitement and
Yeah, yeah,
onto.
yeah, which I hear. And like you say, it attracts, right? So just everything you had leading into meeting him probably wasn't coincidence. You probably was like setting you up for that.
Yeah, but I follow hundreds of people online.
Mhm,
I follow hundreds of
mhm.
people. And so I again, you just never know. You just never
Yeah.
know. And you don't know also that that currency doesn't always come in the form of money in your pocket.
Mhm,
Sometimes it comes in the form of having a world-renowned speaker headline your event and not having to pay a dime. As a matter of fact, he brought he brought I think about 40 books
mhm.
that we gave away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. From being of service and being of
Yeah.
service. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Whew,
Yeah.
okay now, so this is just good stuff, right? So for the folks who want to lean into you and want more of your energy, where can people go to connect with you and learn more about the spaces that you're creating?
Okay. Well, I tell you what, to get a good idea of me and some of the things I care about, I've got a YouTube channel called Rich Social Worker. And while it's interesting because I took a break from posting weekly to run the conference, and now that I'm getting back on YouTube, this the focus is shifting a little bit. So the channel will still be Rich Social Worker, but now we'll be talking about this inner work of wealth and what it feels like, what it looks like, the mindset shifts that we have to have. And again, kind of more along the lines of what we're talking about, less about this equals that equation in terms of monetarily, and more about who am I becoming? And what are those things that get in my way? And what are those false beliefs that I've got to kind of move beyond to be the person
Mhm.
that can attract that that wealth. So Rich Social Worker, you can always find me there.
Sure. Mhm.
I'm posting more on LinkedIn these days.
I see
And
you showing up, beautiful pictures, beautiful messages. Uh-huh.
thank you, thank you. Again, Eva Forde with the E on the end. And uh people will, you mentioned the leadership exchange. That's actually new and I'm so excited about it. And what it is actually is peer advisory. And so it's bringing people who lead with service, lead with heart, and who actually do care about the bottom line as well, but they care about the bottom line as much as they care about others and that self-growth. So bringing us together in small cohorts and really doing the work over the course of 6 and 12 months to level up. And so that leadership exchange I'm super excited about. And yeah, we'll be launching soon.
Ooh, exciting. Okay, it's always nice to embrace new things and things that are evolving with you. I hear the evolution, and I think one of the biggest things I think we miss when we decide to hold back and second guess ourselves and all those things, it's like we waste all this time that we could be in action and could be evolving. And that's going to bring me to my last question for you. If you had to start over,
Mm.
what would you tell yourself about getting out there and about the life that you could have? Like, what's the one thing you wish you knew when you started?
Only one thing. There's so many things I wish
For
I
today,
knew.
pick one.
Today, pick one. Today, I would say to my younger self, keep going, keep going. Just because you don't hear back from people doesn't mean what you're sharing isn't making an impact. Keep going, keep building, keep going. Don't pause. Don't get in your head. Just keep going, keep sharing. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Oh, just so magical. Yeah. Oh, Eva, thank you so much for showing up today in your full self and really leaning into this idea of connection and collaboration with which isn't just like a business tactic, right? It's a mindset, it's who we are, it's culture,
Mhm.
it's something that is really innate in us and also like the permission to do that in whatever way that works, whether you're more quiet or you're out there or somewhere in between, but all of it can help us get to this path of sustainable success that we all want. So thank you very much. Thank you so, so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You're welcome.
Wow, what a conversation. Y'all, this was so good. I love that I know a few dope women and that they are so giving with their gifts. And I think she was fully correct when she said to just kind of lean in. I probably haven't spoken to her in probably a year, if not, oh, I think about a year, because over a year. So I think I did a social work conference. I think that was last year because they didn't host it this year, but I hear it's in the works. It's coming up again for 2026. So that's awesome. And I just was struck by what she was putting out there. Again, visibility, right? Because I saw her post on LinkedIn around connection. And even before that, I think I had thought about her anyway when I thought about this summit and bringing people together to really kind of show us what's possible and how do we get to booked, visible, and paid. It's like, okay, like what do you need? What are those pieces? And she definitely came to mind because of all the things that she's been doing, and it has been around connection, and that's the heart of that. And I know that's not always easy. So it just all kind of fell into place, you know. So I loved everything that she said, and I think this is one of those conversations you have to really rewatch and take notes in case you didn't the first time. Okay. And outside of that, if you've been trying to figure out how to be more visible without coming out of character, and we heard that today, it's like you can lead from yourself, which is sometimes different when you're trying to expand, because I think we do follow so many of the gurus, like she says, but not everything is a fit for you, right? Like that, just like there's many ways to heal, you have to figure out what is a fit for you, so that you can build without burning bridges or burning yourself out, right? And I think this conversation was your reminder, like you can grow from a place that feels authentic to you. And even if you're not sure what that is, just start leaning in and taking steps. And as you evolve, you'll get there, but you certainly don't have to do it alone, right? I think this is also a good place for me to mention that if you loved every part of this experience, the conversation, the energy of the room, and really want to make sure that you build that into your life, be sure to take a look at our annual Women's Retreat. Renew, Connect, Restore. RCR is our sponsor and is creating exactly the kind of space that you need, and in international waters for those of you who like to travel. So make sure to visit the site because we are booking for our next location, and I would love for you to join us. It's always a space where it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you come alone. I think as long as you're a woman of color and you vibe how we're vibing, it's like instant connection. I think you leave as if we were all buddies in the first place, even if when you came in, you didn't even know the woman's name next to you. And it's such a good space to put down all the responsibilities, all the identities of who we are as women, and to really kind of search and figure out who do I want to be and what parts of me need to be challenged, right? And I think every year we challenge different parts of you. So it's kind of like professional development on steroids, which you get to also relax and take in the culture. So listen, check it out. I would certainly love to have you. I get to host it, which is phenomenal for me, and we bring in such great women. So as a bonus, the women who dropped their deposit this month, you also receive a complimentary strategy session from RCR. And that session can happen before the retreat, or if you want to have your session in our tropical location, baby, come on, we'll do that for you there too. All right. So as we have spoken about today, yes, connection is currency. And when you invest in the right people and yourself, the return is just exponential. I think the possibilities are exponential. So make sure to take the time to think about what you need, to think about the who's in your life that you want to connect with, whether it is leaning in to just tell them something positive and something that you appreciate about their service. It's so meaningful. Or whether it is to offer your services to. And I think the most simplest thing that you can do today is to make sure that you share even just this session with at least 2 women in your circle, tag them in it, tag us in it, and keep following along with the Visible and Paid Summit series for all the great breakout conversations. Like, it's just beginning to heat up, y'all. And I'm so glad to hold this space with you. Take care.